Napa Auto Parts wants to know, what makes today's new cars so smart? Is it the questionably useful Wi-Fi connectivity? Could it be the giant, confusing touchscreens you should probably stop playing with while driving? Or perhaps voice-activated everything that never seems to listen very well? The answer, of course, is none of the above. Click the banner to see the smartest car available today.
Goldilocks Productions presents the Living in Partnership with Spirit show with Ingrid Turner. Ingrid is a spiritual medium, a spiritual coach, and diviner. She connects with loved ones, spirit guides, spiritual energies, and the higher self to help her clients heal, connect with their authentic spiritual path, and live in their power. This 1-hour show will give listeners the opportunity to call in and ask a question from Spirit, get spiritual guidance, or to ask questions of the special guest. Call in now to reserve your spot on the switchboard. The call-in number for this show is 657-383-1895. Enjoy this healing and powerful show.
Hi, welcome to the Living in Partnership with Spirit show. I'm Ingrid Turner, your host. I'm so happy to be here sharing not only my work with you, but the work of many healers, intuitives, spiritual leaders, and teachers I get to have on this show. And of course, wisdom directly from Source, Divine Spirit. So I work with people as a spiritual medium. That means that I connect with Spirit on your behalf as your channel, and I relay messages from Spirit to you. By Spirit, I mean spirit guides, loved ones, angels. Sometimes it's information coming through. Whatever you need in that moment is what I tap into and relay for you. I give private readings, and I also work with individuals and groups on an ongoing basis to help you connect directly with Divine Source, so taking out the middleman. And through that connection, I help you develop your own spiritual structure. So I really work with spiritual seekers who don't fit in a box. You can learn more about me and what I do on my website at www.ingridhturner.com, INGRIDHTURNER.com. You can also connect with me through my Facebook group. It's called Living in Partnership with Spirit, so that's the same name as this show. If you plug that into Facebook search, it'll pop right up. So I want to start with a definition of sorts on living in partnership with Spirit. So for me, I define living in partnership with Spirit as communing with the divine, living from a place of feeling and intuition, and living with less anxiety and more certainty. It's really about living in your highest purpose, in this body, on this planet, in your highest expression. So this show explores different themes, topics, and paths to living in partnership with Spirit. We'll delve into the many ways by which we communicate, experience, and work with Spirit in our daily lives. Show guests and myself will talk about our experiences, our spiritual work, and answer your questions. So each week we explore a different topic related to our overall theme of partnership with Spirit. You are welcome and encouraged to please call in with your questions for myself or for our guest. Now, during today's interview, we won't be doing readings, but I'm setting aside the last 20 minutes of the show for on-air readings. So go ahead, stay tuned. The call-in number is 657-383-1895. You can call that number right now and get in line. And then when it's time to start doing readings, you'll press 1 to get on the show. So this week, we have wise woman Iris Hawkins on to talk about her journey through life in spirit, and namely to tell us about some of her own epic tale and where she's landed now and what she's been through and just her life, which has been incredible. Iris is a really gifted intuitive. I was fortunate enough to have been through one of her Wild Iris spirit journeys. This experience left a profound impact on me. And that's when I knew I had to have her on this show so that she can share about her work now, which is completely unique in her own, and also talk about how she got to where she is, how she came up with the work that she does, these journeys that she takes people. And I won't go into detail about it yet because I want to hear about it. I want to have Iris tell us more about it. Okay, so enough talking about Iris. Let's talk to Iris. Iris, welcome.
Morning.
Hi, good morning. How are you doing, Iris?
I'm doing well. How's everybody doing out there? If you're in your pajamas, hit 0.
Don't hit zero.
I'm sorry. I just picked zero because zero is the Fool card in the tarot deck.
Good. Okay.
So, yeah. Okay.
Okay, that was clever. I got it now. I'm on board.
Okay.
So Iris, before we dive into our content, can you tell us how we can contact you?
Yes. I have a website, which is www.wildirisrose.com. And on that website is a page of how to contact me through email, which also is wildiris@gmail, and that's spelled WYLDIRISH@gmail.com. I also have a Facebook business page under Wild Iris Spirit Journeys, and I have a personal page under my name. And the phone number to call if you want to talk to me in person is also on the website. And otherwise, just close your eyes, take a breath, tune in, and click your heels together 3 times. And say something like wildirisrose.com. No, Wild Iris Rose, Wild Iris Rose, my Wild Iris Rose, which is actually how, yeah.
Yeah, and be sure to put your red sparkly shoes on before you do that. I know you all got them.
No, not red, purple. Purple sparkly.
Purple, sorry.
Yeah. I'm all about purple. Purple with the purpose.
Purple with a purpose. Love it. Okay, and then there's that. Yeah, great. Okay, so Iris, real quick, I just want to give our listeners a reminder that if you want to call in and ask Iris a question about her work, we welcome that. We are not doing readings during this interview, but do call in with your questions about the topic. And again, 657-383-1895. At the last 20 minutes of the show, we're going to set aside time to do readings on air for anybody who needs that guidance. So, yeah, Iris, I want to
Ingrid, let's be specific about what kind of readings I'll be doing today because of the limit of time and wanting to accommodate as many people as possible. Is my focus in my practice right now of the spirit journeys is the core of that is Taromatherapy, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But what I'll be offering are just a quickie soul, personality, hidden factor card array based on your birth date.
Okay, great. So let's start with right here, right now. Can you tell us a little more about who are give us a little bit of information on the work that you do and how you would describe yourself and sum yourself up today.
Okay. Well, I call sort of the umbrella Wild Iris Spirit Journeys, and what can happen in a journey will divine or calculate your life card constellation cards. There are major arcana cards that relate to the numbers that come out when we add the month, day, and year of your birth. So in that there'll be a possibility of a soul card, which is the you and you, who you are in your soul. A personality card, which is who you are out in the world, and a hidden factor card, which can also be a growth card or a teacher card. And then there's also your year card based on the month, day, and the current year. So in Taromatherapy, which is the name that I created and trademarked, there are essential oils that match those major arcana tarot cards. So I have a lovely apothecary of oils. I have actually most of those oils now, thanks to gifts from friends and spirit. And so I'll bring those oils out. You'll choose the ones that you like, and then we'll blend them into an oil or a hydro spritz. And we will use that in the context. So a full-on spirit journey will be the calculation and the choosing and blending of those essential oils. And then I'll do a explanation, a little kind of reading on what those cards mean and how they apply to you. And I can do this on the phone or in person. It seems to be pretty an equal response as to accuracy either way. I just intuitively get who people are. And I actually start, the matrix of all of this starts to be woven at the time that you make and commit to your appointment. So I start getting things about who I'm providing the journey for, usually days in advance. And that can be just images or impressions. Sometimes it comes to me in the dream time. And I also create, whether it's on phone or in person, I create an altar, sort of a personalized, customized altar for that person. So I just open my magic Pandora's box of sacred objets and ask, say I'm doing a journey for Ingrid. So I just, which is what I did, is I just said, well, who wants to be on Ingrid's altar? And so this, that, and the other thing popped up. A citrine stone, which, Ingrid wasn't even really familiar with, but once she held it, she was, oh yeah, I'm definitely getting something on this. And then I think in the follow-on, you got more about that. So it's the oils, it's the altar, it's the cards. And then if you're having the full-on journey, we will also do an anointing of your chakras and acupressure points and other energy vortex points on your physical body, although you are fully clothed. And I will sometimes use the tuning forks on those points or in your auric field. Sometimes drumming and rattling, which takes it more into a shamanic journey, like more of a traditional shamanic journey. I really pay attention to what spirit tells me that this particular soul is needing and wanting. So that's, I think, a pretty accurate description of what the hour and a half, although I have to provide a disclaimer. My hour and a halves are very fat and juicy, so it's fluid, right? Fluid. It's very fluid. I tend to go over, and I'm completely okay with that. I think if it got crazy into half a day, we'd have to re-talk the fee on that.
Right.
But it's kind of non-chronic time, non-chronological time. Not linear time is magical an illusion. Time. So right.
Time. Absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
Well, okay. So let me see if I can bullet point this for you. A spirit journey is numerology, right, with your birthday, tarot cards, crystals, essential oils, energy work, channeling. Did I miss anything? Because you start getting stuff right away. That's channeled information, right?
I don't know that I would use that term, but if you're comfortable with that term, if the client, the journeyer or the listener is comfortable with that term. I work with people who come from a very traditional, spiritual, religious background who would not be comfortable with that term. So I just say it's just what spirit tells me. So.
Right.
Whatever
the word I use for that is channeling. So is spirit channeling.
Right.
But
right.
Okay, words don't matter. Words are just a container we put the information in. So
exactly.
Okay, that's pretty in depth and intense. And I remember when I showed up for my appointment with you, you had a list. He said, okay, so I start to get stuff before, and he had this bulleted list of items, and I went, whoa, And I was lucky enough to go through the whole experience and get all the elements thrown in there. And it sounds like you break that up for different types of appointments. Am I right? Did I understand that correctly?
Yes, I mean, I can do, which is on the menu on my newly updated website. Yeah, so I can do everything from a half an hour kind of basic tarot reading, a spread with or, without a mini constellation reading included in that, up till the whole hour and a half full-on journey. So I call the 30-minute ones a stroll, and then the longer ones are journeys. So speaking of how playing with words.
Nice, yeah. No, you have a lot of fun with words. That's something that I like about you. You're always, when I get a text or an email from you, it's like there's some fun play on words in there. It's like, how is that clever? So
yeah, like enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey, spelled capital I-N, capital J-O-Y. And instead of saying blessings, which is a lovely, wonderful word, I also say blessings, because I feel that we can use more bliss in our lives, right?
Always more bliss. So this is something that this whole journey is something you put together yourself, things that you intuited and based on your experience and your knowledge, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
This is where your life brought you to. So you and I were talking individually, and you've had quite a lot of fascinating experiences. I mean, I want to know a little bit more about your background, cliff notes on your background and what brought you to where you are today. Most of us don't start here. So I want to know a little bit more about your journey.
I will try to make it brief, because the Irish in me does like to blather on. It all began with a vision. And this was in the late 80s when I was living in Palo Alto. I was in a job that was basically starting to make me nuts. It was making me very unhappy, to the point where I just dreaded going to work every day. And I was in an accounting position with a artificial intelligence software development company. And so in those days, it was very, very, very stressful because of finances, and these being, like little fledgling startup companies that had an idea that just exploded. And they dealt with the government, academic institutions, and Fortune 100 companies. So you'd think that being in accounts receivable, that would have been a piece of cake, but the bureaucracy was just crazy making. And I started taking a class at one of the community centers that was called Acu Yoga, ACUYOGA. And in one of those classes, at the end, we were doing a meditation, and to put it simply, the teacher was encouraging us to go to or create or what's known as now our happy place. So it's the safe place, your sanctuary, something quiet and safe and meditative. So I had a print of a painting on the wall of my office it's called The Moon Temple by Gilbert Williams, and actually you can still see that image online. And so I kind of took that into the meditation, and that became my happy place. And the experience I had when I was there is, maybe I was asking the question of, what should I be doing with my life? This, what I'm doing for work is making me very unhappy. And it was literally right in front of my face, where I don't know if it was then or in the ensuing week or something. Oh, yes, I do remember. As a matter of fact, it was my birthday, which is New Year's Eve. I was sitting in my office, being miserable, asking that question. I looked up at the print, and I just heard this voice. And it's the first time I had heard the voice so clearly, and it said Acu-Yoga. And I thought, well, okay, I'm already taking the class. What does that mean? And it was like, the voice said, no, you're to become an Acu-Yoga teacher and an acupressure practitioner. And I knew who to go to was to find out more about that. And so I booked a session, an acupressure session with the Acu-Yoga teacher, and she gave me the whole shtick. She'd studied at the Acupressure Institute. She had been in a public relations / advertising business. So she knew how to promote herself. And she had brought these classes into local community centers on the peninsula. And she said, I have more classes than I can handle. Come take the class over again a couple of times. You can use my handouts and my material. So the only thing I'm going to ask you to do and recommend is that you do the acupressure training, because you really do have to know where this comes from, which I was all too happy to do. So I took my tax return of that year. This is the beginning of 1987, and I went to the Acupressure Institute and got my beginning practitioner training, and took some of this woman's classes, which is how I started building a practice. And then I went on to take intermediate and advanced classes at the Acupressure Institute. So all in all, I think I was going there off and on for about 3 years. And then also that just opened everything. It opened up healing my issues from my childhood, healing the resulting health issues I had from that, connecting me in with people from all over the world who were studying different paths of healing and spirituality, and it was like metaphysical central there. So I dipped in. I just didn't dip in. I jumped in. I did the full-on swan dive into that and just soaked it up. And then, of course, I had friends who were tracking along with me in that spiritual search. So I was exposed to things like the Course in Miracles, Native American spirituality, studied some of that, some Nahual shamanism with students of Carlos Castaneda's. And also,
Iris, sorry, I'm just going to pause you for just a second there. I just want to shoot out a reminder to our live listeners that we are going to be doing readings on air the last 20 minutes of the show. So at 11:40, we're going to start bringing people on to do those readings. Okay, just need to shoot that out there real quick. Go ahead, Iris.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm trying to be brief, but it's kind of a juicy story, which may end up being a book. Who can say? So then the journey took me, to studying with all these different people: Jack Swartz, Ruth Ross, Shakti Gawain, Alberto Viodo. And then in the late summer of 1990, my partner at the time and I had been talking about maybe moving to Santa Fe. Some friends of ours who were chiropractors were talking about doing that. And then it ended up being us that actually got on the plane and went there and started looking around. And we just got such a big yes on that. So that was kind of in the works, and I'm not sure what guided me to get my first tarot reading or how I found this person, but in the late summer of 90, I went to a place that I think is still there called the Mystic Eye in San Francisco, and I had my first tarot reading with a gypsy woman who was guided to use the Mother Peace tarot deck for me. And I was wowed. The reading was incredible. I loved it. I got that I was going to incorporate that into my healing practice and bought the Mother Peace deck and book. And so then not too many months later, we moved to Santa Fe. And within a few weeks of moving to Santa Fe, I attended an event produced by a women's school called Woman Wise featuring Vicki Noble, who's one of the authors of the Mother Peace Tarot deck. So not only did I get to study with her in a fairly close time frame in that workshop, but she signed my book, and I signed on for the Woman Wise Adventure, and eventually became one of their guiding priestesses. That's actually when I moved fully into calling myself Iris. It was sort of just a whim, and some friends of mine that were visiting me in Santa Fe, and I went to the Anasazi dwellings, and we were sitting in a kiva, and I said, I'm ready to take my spiritual name, which is Iris, because of having the second and third sight, and I'm also a watercolor artist, and my favorite subject is irises. So I came out as Iris in the Woman Wise School. And at one of our retreats, I was introduced fully into the world of essential oils by one of the founders of the school, who became and remains to this day one of my very, very dear friends. So she introduced us to essential oil, an essential oil called vetiver, in the retreat, and I was just knocked out. It instantly took me on a journey. I don't remember what it was, but it feels like back there in the long-term memory archives that it was some past life Egyptian thing. So there's that. And while living in Santa Fe, again, I took more courses at studied at the New Mexico Academy of Massage. I studied in a small class atmosphere with a seasoned practitioner of spa treatments, so I began to incorporate the botanical facial treatments and body polishes, some of those other spa treatments. Also, when I was living in New Mexico, I learned how to do Akashic record readings, so I incorporated that. So it's just, whatever I was studying, bits and bobs of those things would become part of who I am, of course, and then, conversely, or not conversely, but then a part of my practice. I also did some very intense shamanic medicine journeys, which I think were very pivotal in healing a lot of my childhood issues and past life issues. But then kind of about 96, I'm thinking, maybe toward the end of that 96, I started getting the signs that were pointing to my exodus from my time in the desert. So I began my search to relocate and ended up back in California. More northern, I landed in Glen Ellen, and then after a few months moved on to Healdsburg. And the journey from moving from Santa Fe to California was pretty exciting too, in that I packed my entire house full of possessions, including large house plants, 2 cats, and my Honda car on full-on transport behind the U-Haul, with my companion, who was my dear friend Cynthia, who is the one who introduced me to essential oils. So that kind of brings us into the 90s.
Yeah.
So then it was like traveling, living different places, Healdsburg, Mendocino, more travel to Indonesia and Brazil, coming back to Mendocino, and then left Mendocino after being there for about 7 years. In 2007, I moved to Marin. So then that was San Geronimo Valley to Inverness, Point Reyes, and then in 2012, I moved to Nevada City. In 2013, I moved to where I live now in Colfax, and I've been here almost 3 years, which is, I think, a record for me since I left Palo Alto in 1990.
Yeah,
so
you've done some moving.
Yeah, I've done some moving and shaking, and in the interim, broke first the left hand and the right hand, which, of course, transformed my journey and my healing practice. And it was really the beginning of this year, after a hiatus of a couple of years while I was healing from the break of the right hand, that I think when I left Point Reyes, I had come up with the Wild Iris healing therapies, which then morphed into Wild Iris Healing Journeys, which then was reborn at the beginning of this year as Wild Iris Spirit Journeys. And, you know, in the interim, I've met and taken classes with fabulous tarot teachers, Mary Greer, and, of course, the lovely, wonderful, wise Ingrid Turner. And by the way, I'm going to put in a little plug for her intuitive tarot class. I hope that's okay.
Sure.
I took that earlier this year. Is that right, Ingrid?
I think so. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Time
and I was wowed.
Too, so I have no idea.
I was just really wowed. I felt like I had come home. Like Ingrid really got who I was, and the energy that she holds in that container just plugged me directly in with who I am. And then the Taromatherapy became a reality. So,
well, great.
And
thank
here
you.
I am.
Thank you for those kind words. That's great.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
if we have listeners in Grass Valley, Nevada City, Nevada County area where I am physically based, I have a class coming up on Sunday, October 23rd at the Open Book in Grass Valley, and you can go on my website, ingridhturner.com/classes, and register there. So thanks for that, Iris.
Oh, you're welcome. Share the love.
So you know what I love hearing about your journey, you know, that epic life and spirit journey. I don't know, life in spirit. I don't know what to call it, but it's just beautiful. And you're right, it could be a book. Is most people move from thing to thing. You know what I mean? They stop doing one thing and they start doing another thing. And that's what a progression generally looks like. I feel like what I envision you doing is like you're like creating this trail behind you, and you're just taking everything with you. You know, you got everything in the bag. You're like, I'm not getting rid of any of this. It's all good stuff. Yep. It's all going to come together. And so that's where you've come to this place where you've made it a cohesive experience for people. You know, and I can say, like, speak to a little bit about my experience with you. It was, I had no idea what to expect, because I think at that point it was still pretty new and getting fine-tuned when is that right? When I did a journey with you. So it was like, well, Ingrid, come do a journey. I'm okay. And it was so funny because I just said yes without thinking about it. And then later on, I'm like, what am I doing? wait, where am I going?
Right. What exactly am I doing? And my answer at that time would have been, well, we'll see.
Yeah,
whatever.
You did say that. You know?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I showed up at this adorable little witch's cottage in the woods with like a bubbling brook, and it's just, and I'm okay, and I sit down and boom, you go. And it was great. It was like everything was laid out. There was an altar, there was, all of the different elements. And then I didn't expect the energy work portion that you did. I went, wait, you want me to what? Again, I said, okay. And that right there, the space that you created, the sacred space that you created up to that point. And then I think it just really came together when I got on the table and you started doing your acupressure and your tuning forks. And you saw me go away. You went, hello, wait, no, come back.
Yeah. Keep part of you here on the table, please.
Yeah. It was great. And I got a really profound vision, profound message that I know I shared with you at the time, but it's something that still lingers with me to this day. And you're one of the people. I had a friend who, in fact, his wife came to see you. Her husband said to me, I need recommendations of local readers. I'm like, well, this is one woman you have to go see. Like, for sure. So, and much of this, like you say, you can do over the phone. Now, the stuff on the table isn't, although, can you do that energy work remotely?
Yeah, definitely. I just, basically what I do is I just envision the person laying on the table, and I will actually physically, dip my fingers into the oil and visualize touching those acupressure points, which is something I've been doing for quite a few years. And again, with a number of people, one or two that I can think of who, are like devout Catholics. And they said, wow, this is amazing. They felt exactly the same, and they had at one point in our relationship, they had experienced the work in person. And they said, it was just like I was on your table. And I could feel when you were touching me, and I feel like, I've just had an hour and a half of body work with you, or an hour, or whatever it was. So it does communicate that way. It's like matter.
Spirit cares. Yeah. Spirit cares nothing for time or space. I get that question all the time. Like, well, can you do a reading over the phone? How do you do that? I'm like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
Yeah, and I started doing audio recorded readings and email readings for people who are just like, because our world is just so crazy, just trying to, make it work for everybody. And, somebody asked me the other day, it's like, well, how do you do that? It's like you just tap into energy, because energy, there's no time and no space when it comes to energy and connecting with another person's energy. Just boom, you're right there. It's amazing. I think a lot of people don't realize that we could be on the top of Mount Everest, and connecting with you.
Yeah, truly, yeah. I've actually not worked with anybody off the continental U.S. yet, but it shouldn't be a problem.
No, and I have, so I'm here to tell you already it doesn't matter at all. It's just right there. Yeah.
Right, you just get into the ethers and, there you are.
Yeah, there you are. Yep, I don't know. I can't say that I can tell you how it works. I just know it does work.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So you and I talked a little bit about you wanted to offer a special for our live listeners today. What is it?
The special is, let me see if I can remember what came to me when I woke up this morning. It actually came to me in the middle of the night, but, that's another story. Let's see, $10 off, $10 discount on any of the offerings on my website, excluding products, paid for in advance and used by Thanksgiving.
Perfect. So go to your website. Okay. Can you give us your website one more time?
Yeah, it's www.wildirisrose.com. Now, that special isn't on there yet, but I will make sure I get it mentioned on there, and I'll also add it to the Acuity scheduling link, which is how you would schedule your appointment, and then you would pay. You can just click on the PayPal link and pay that way, or send me a check or money order.
Right.
Or come to the witch cottage. I call it the Iris Temple now, because some people have strange responses.
Oh,
to
the witchy thing.
Even though, my dear friend who may actually be, I'm hoping, will be my ghostwriter of my life story, Becky's in New York, calls me the Green Diva. So I like that term. The sanctuary of the Green Diva. And it's really green around here now. And the brook is babbling again.
Yay!
Thanks to the rain. Yay! Yeah.
Awesome. So we're going to, Iris, you and I are going to wrap up our conversation, and we're going to open up for callers in a couple of minutes. But before we do, I have to say, you impress me so much with your depth and breadth of knowledge and intuition and experience. And I just want to ask you, if you were going to give 3 pieces of advice to anyone who's listening today, who's starting off on that spirit life journey that you just described, and what, with so much of, having gone through so much of yourself, what are, 1 to 3, whatever you can come up with, what would you tell people listening today who are just embarking on this journey?
Well, I'll repeat what I said at the very beginning. Enjoy the journey. And I came across a little quote by our dear friend, W.B. Yeats, my dear friend, whose poetry I love. The world is full of magic things, patiently waiting for our senses to grow and share and shape. And I think that really sums it up. Life is a journey. It can be it's amazing how it can feel both long and short, big and little, wonderful and excruciating. It's a wild mouse ride, so you might as well enjoy it. That's how I feel like my life has been sometimes. One of the rides in the board. I don't even know if it's still there, but it was there years ago when I went at the boardwalk in Santa Cruz, where you're in this like little container and you're kind of being, up and down and side to side. You think you're going to fall out, but you don't, and it's like all open and you're very exposed. It's very exciting. So you might as well just, strap yourself in and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, and I feel like what I've experienced, it sounds like what you experienced, Iris, and I think what most people experience is when you commit to that life in partnership with spirit, that spirit life, that spirit journey, things get even more exciting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Really
to be as
bump up and down.
Connected and present as you're able to in the moment. When Spirit said to me, I was on the very northernmost tip of Ireland in this rental car in the middle of this huge storm. And all of a sudden, this is a true story. The clouds parted, the sun came through, the rain stopped, and I heard the voice say, "Are you ready?" I didn't ask for what, when, how, why. I just said yes. So say yes.
Oh, that's beautiful. That just gave me chills. Say yes. Just say yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And you will be supported. Okay. It may not feel like it at times, but there are so many other people that are on the journey with you. You just have to reach out and, reach your hand out and say, hey, let's hold hands here. Join me on this. Let's be journey companions. What do I call myself? What did I just come up with on my bio? I'm your metaphysical travel agent.
That's right. I love that. So, Iris, we have a caller ready to get a reading from you. Are you ready to start doing the Tarot Constellation Life Cards?
You bet.
Okay, so area code 863. Hi, how are you?
Hi, doing great. Thank you.
Great. What's your name?
It's Julia.
Hi, Julia.
Hello.
So do you have now, Iris, does Julia need to ask a question, or what do you need from Julia?
No. All I need, Julia, is your full date of birth, please.
Okay. It's September 16th, 1961.
Okay, I'm just doing the numerology. So that comes down to, how I do this, for your edification, is the number 9, below it the number 16, and then below that 1961. So then I add together 9 and 1 and 6, which is 16. 6. Are you following me? This okay, Julia?
Oh, no, I was.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
That's okay. Then 6 and 1 and 1 is 8, and then bring down the 19, right? So then you add that across, that's 18, that's 24. Interesting. I always check my math because I just like doing it by hand. I know I could use calculator, but I like that. 14, 24. So you are a 6. You are a double 6, which is my lovely daughter Brooke as well, which is the Lovers. And the essential oils for the Lovers are peppermint, geranium, could be rose geranium or just regular geranium, and lavender. So do you like those fragrances generally, or something maybe that you don't like?
I'm not sure about, I don't know that I've smelled geranium, but I do use lavender, and I do enjoy peppermint. I like peppermint tea and peppermint candies, and I like lavender for the soothing, relaxing, when I take a bath.
Right.
I like to add lavender oil.
Okay, so since you're a double Lovers, that means that your soul and your personality are both the Lover's card. That's the number 6 card in the major arcana. So your soul is the you and you, and your personality is who you are in the world. And then your hidden factor card is the number 15, and the card is called the Devil card, but it's also called the Pan card. And the essential oils for that are clary sage and patchouli. Now, when I mention patchouli, almost everybody, I can feel them go, ugh. That's that hippie oil. But I'm here to tell you that a really good quality, high quality organic patchouli is a whole different ballgame. It happens that my year card, based on my birthday and the current year, well, it's the year that just passed since I was New Year's Eve 2015, is the Devil card. And I went, oh, no. And then it was, patchouli is one of the oils. I thought, but I do have that really good organic one. I think I remember I like it. So I added it to my blend, and the product that I use for myself mostly is a Hydro Spritz. So I just, like when I'm doing my face care thing twice a day, I spritz myself, or when I need it. 1 drop in 4 ounces of that combination with my other oils, and it just grounded it. It made it something. I just started working with Hidden Factor oils this year, and it has really changed the blends. It makes them be a little deeper, a little more magical, and very potent. I don't know what else to say about it. But so you have lavender, geranium, peppermint to choose from for your double lover, your soul and personality, and then the clary sage or patchouli for the Devil. And just quickly, briefly, an overview of what those cards are about. So the lovers are about relatedness, either relationship with others or your relationship within yourself, and choice. So you may tend to know yourself through others. And the Devil is, Ingrid, what would you say about the Devil card?
Shadow. Their shadow self. That's what I always say about the Devil card. It's that Jungian shadow.
Right. So that's sort of like your hidden factor is your shadow, and just things that you kind of need to watch out for in your life. But it's also the Pan card, so that's about nature. It's about hedonism, and properly used, having a relationship with your your earth self is a good thing. It's just too much of a good thing if you go overboard. So you may have to watch for that in your life. You might have had to walk that fine edge a couple of times. But also an amazing teacher, right?
True that.
So Julia, how does that feel to you?
Yeah, I've definitely been learning a lot through relationships. and
right.
Within the past couple of years, I've been trying to focus more on my spiritual side and trying to really, learn to manifest and learn to become clear within myself about what I want and moving forward. And I've definitely had the experience of riding that fine line, going over into addictions and then having to come back out of that. So yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And didn't you learn a lot from that?
Yeah.
That's not a hypothetical question. That's like, or if you haven't, you will. You will integrate those teachings that you've experienced in your life journey, and that then shifts how you relate to others and how you relate to those qualities, your anima and animus, your masculine and feminine within yourself, so that it becomes more of a partnership where they're supporting and nurturing one another.
Awesome.
I also, may I interject? Or not interject, I just like throw something out
Just
there.
jump
Iris,
in, girlfriend.
I'm jumping in. You know, what you talked about dealing with with addiction issues and that devil card coming in, that, you know, that makes all kinds of sense. That's the devil for you right there. Like, well, let's go overboard if we possibly can, right? Does not moderate well. But what I want to say is addiction is really what it is it's a wide opening to spirit. You know, those people who battle with addiction, it's because they're trying to fill that void. And I know this is familiar to you because, you know, this is resonating with you because you've been through it. Trying to fill a void, trying to fill up that hole, that big black hole with absolutely anything you can put inside it. But what you're really craving and what you're really wanting is that connection to divine spirit, is that spirituality, that spiritual foundation. That's what gets people sober and off of substances, any kind of substances or habits or what have you, is that spiritual foundation. You know, you can put that in whatever box or flavor you want to put it into. But what I want to say for you is, you know, in our culture, you know, addicts, you know, addiction is very shameful. You know, it's a really hard thing to deal with. It's a hard thing to talk about and to look at. So kudos for you for even bringing it up. It's like, yes, this is, you know, what I've been dealing with. But I just want to say, as far down as you can go, that's the shadow side to an incredible ability to shoot up into spirit and rise to an incredible spiritual level. So if you ever find yourself beating yourself up for your past mistakes or your past history or your addiction behaviors, just remember, as far down as you went, that's as high up as you can go.
Right on, right on. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Where, just out of curiosity, Julia, where are you calling from?
Central Florida.
Florida.
Disney area.
Okay. I'm just curious how, you know, what the range of the radio program is. So, you know, right on, Ingrid, those responses, those gets that you got about that, picking that kind of a journey. And the thing that came through when you were saying that was, it feels like addiction is a veil that we put between us and spirit. And I'm not sure why, but it's based on fear, and I feel like I get that it's based on fear and something about not being safe, having or maybe deserving your direct connection with spirit. So you kind of try to tamp it down because it's so intense. Well, we don't live in a culture where that's safe.
We're supported.
You know, where it's kind of okay, and you know, I mean, think about our journey, Iris. You know, like your journey. You went from accounting to what you're doing. How much turmoil did you go through in learning to accept yourself and find people who accepted you? You know, and Julie, I'm sure Julia, do you experience the same sort of thing?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. And so that's why we start feeding, because we think, okay, it's not okay to fill that with spirit in the way that I'm gravitating towards. So, but what is socially acceptable? I'll have a drink, you know, or I'll smoke a cigarette. You know, that's more socially acceptable until it gets out of control than that connection to spirit in the ways that we want to do it. So right on, Julia. And I hope that's really, I hope that's as helpful as I think it is, what Iris told you about the lovers and the devil. And that's your life print. You know, that deep spiritual connection with another person, the lovers, coupled with your shadow side coming up and rearing its ugly head when you don't give it enough attention, right?
Yeah.
Any other questions for Iris?
No, I'm good. Thank you so much.
Before we wrap it up?
Awesome. And I just want to leave you with a little dessert. You're moving into a chariot year. So, you just did. Woohoo. So it's like, get on board and go for it, girl.
Things are going to start happening.
Mastery through change. Mastery through change and being a warrior for your own cause.
I love it.
When you were doing the math and you asked me, are you with me? I was writing when you said say yes. I wrote say yes with exclamation point. Right after that, I wrote Carpe Diem.
That's great. That's great. I love it.
Awesome.
And I'm actually looking at my painting that's on top of the refrigerator. That is yes. It's like the S is a snake, you know, kind of like, not quite the Ouroboros, but, you know, with the snake biting its own tail. But, yeah, it's just like, just say yes.
then, thank you, Yoko Ono and John Lennon, for that one, too.
Yep.
That's how they met. So she had a painting. Somebody told me this after they saw my painting. Said, oh, yeah, that's how John Lennon met Yoko Ono. She was having a show of her artwork, and there was this huge piece that just said yes. He walked up and saw it. He looked at her, and he went, yes. Whether that story is true or not, I like it. It's true for me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much,
Awesome.
ladies. I appreciate it.
Thank you,
You're
Julia.
welcome.
Thanks for calling
You're welcome.
in.
And blessings on your journey.
Thank you.
More bliss, please. Awesome. Well, Iris, I love that we just had the one caller because we got to give her a whole lot of attention and really kind of dive in a little more than I think you were really intending to for each of these. So that felt really perfect to me.
Great.
Is there anything before we wrap it up? No, actually, wait. I'm being told take a step back, Ingrid. I think we're just about done with our show.
Okay.
And that's all the time we have. And Iris, I want to thank you so much for coming on, for joining us. It was such a pleasure to have you, such a pleasure to hear about your journey and your work. Thank you for sharing. And thank you for the reading that you did for Julia. Julia, thank you for calling in. I want to thank my producer, Reverend Tiffany Whitesage Woman of Goldilocks Productions. So without her, this show would not be possible. If you want to get in, So one more time, Iris, can you give us your website if people want to get in touch with you in case they missed it?
You bet. It's www.wildirisrose, WILDIRISROSE.com. And all my other contact information is on that website, too. So it's been
Brilliant.
a pleasure and honor, and I am deeply, profoundly grateful to you, Ingrid, for bringing me out and being my companion on this part of my journey. So, namaste.
Humble pleasure. Namaste, my love. Okay, if you want to get in touch with me for any reason, you can book a session, inquire about working with me, or just leave me some feedback. Please visit my website at www.ingridhturner.com. That's INGRIDHTURNER.com. And I actually just got a new website, which I'm like super awesome, stoked about and proud of. So please go check it out. And if you see anything funky on there, you want to leave me some feedback, please do. I've got contact forms on there. Our next show is Tuesday, October 25th at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to have Lisa Greenfield on as our guest. So Lisa is an incredibly gifted diviner and coach. She's going to come on and talk about palmistry, astrology, tarot, and the science behind the brain and the intuition. So thanks again for joining us. Thank you, Iris, my dearest. And I am so looking forward to diving in again next week. Have a wonderful day.
When you don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can be confusing. Like Swedish techno confusing.
Bark, bark, meow, meow. Dance with me, purple cow. Bark, bark, meow, meow. Ooh, you lovely cow.
Geico makes it easy. With 24/7 access, all you have to do is go to Geico.com and you could save money on car insurance. It just makes sense. Unlike,
Dance with me, purple cow. I like your move.